YouTube. I'm back with another video, and today I thought I'd look at some gaming nostalgic memories from the beloved ZX Spectrum. Now, the Spectrum wasn't my first gaming device. I think that honour falls to the Pong clone. I had a Binatone. I'll try and put a picture up here. Yeah, where you had your tennis, your football, your hockey, all these other sports, and yet they all looked exactly the same. But we used to love those devices, the plug and play, and the idea of actually interacting with the TV and controlling what was on the TV. Back in those days, the early to mid 80s, for me, it was absolutely fantastic. And then after that, I think, obviously I played the Atari 2600 around friends' houses and things like that, but I wanted the ZX Spectrum. Now, I got my Spectrum back in 1988. My birthday was coming up, and we saw an advert in a local newspaper in the classified ad section for a bundle. It was a Spectrum 48K, the hard key, the pressed into the deck itself, not the rubber key. A couple of joysticks. I can't remember which ones. Maybe a Python, and one was the Sinclair Spectrum basic joystick. A bag full of games, and this carbon paper printer thing. Anyway, my dad took me to get this thing, and we're driving out there, and Dad sort of says to me, "No, you're not going to use this just for gaming, are you?" And I was like, "No, Dad, of course not. I'm going to do a bit of work on it, and this, that, and the other." And of course, that was a load of nonsense. I was clearly just going to use this for games, or at least that was my intention. Anyway, got this thing, brought it back, played it, and absolutely fell in love with it. Obviously, there was a lot of rivalry back in the day between the Commodore 64, the Spectrum, and to a certain extent, this Amstrad. I'm going to go through a few games today. Now, this isn't a definitive list of all the games I played back then. I don't have a massive Spectrum collection, probably about 30, 35 games, something like that. They're not going to be the big hitters like your Robocops, your Rastans, your Barbarians, your Chase HQs, or anything like that. These are just a few games that hold some nostalgic memory for me. All this took place back in the day where, depending on what age I was, we would either go in town with friends and their parents, or with my parents, to go to this shop. And we had a shop in Plymouth called Computer Base, and you'd go in and you'd have a certain set, a bit like the old video stores, where you'd have a section of Commodore 64 games, your Amstrad, your Spectrum, and maybe upstairs I think they had the more elite PC kind of games and equipment and things like that. But obviously I was there for the Spectrum, and you would go in there with a few pound, possibly £5 if you were a bit flush at that time, and you would come home with potentially 5-6 games, depending on your budget. Games back then were like 99p, £2.99, £1.99, and obviously more. And I'm sure I remember getting some games in the bargain bin for like 49p. But great days, going in there and buying so many games with just £3. It just seems completely ludicrous now with the price of games, and great memories. But anyway, I'm going to start with the games, and I'm going to start with a set of games that is synonymous with the Spectrum for me. Dave, retro games played badly. If you're watching, you might want to turn away. I think you'll know what set of games this is. Yes, it's the Little Eggman. It's Mr. Dizzy. I love these games. I absolutely loved them. Dizzy was one of probably the first games I completed on the Spectrum. The first one. I think I completed the version that was actually on a demo tape, along with some other games. What else have we got here? We've got Treasure Island. I believe that was the follow-up. That was excellent. Might be my favourite, that one. And if it wasn't, I'm going to have to boot these up again and have a look. And then it was Fantasy World Dizzy, which was great also. This one, I haven't played. Magic Land Dizzy. I don't think I've played this one anyway. again by the Oliver twins. All of these are great sets, synonymous with the Spectrum, and thoroughly enjoyed those sort of games. Traversing the landscapes and interacting with the characters and collecting these different bits of rope, a candle, and all these different things that you would get through these games to give to someone who would open a gate for you and let you buy so you could advance into the story and discover more of the levels. Used to love games like that. Now next is a game which is the first game I completed on the Spectrum, and that is Rogue Trooper, which I believe is a character in the same sort of universe as Judge Dredd, or by the same publisher, and didn't know that until the last 5 or 10 years. But a wonderful game, isometric view, shooter, collecting dog tags or something. I can't remember much of these games. It was so long ago, guys. But I remember getting really far into it, and we had to go out to see my auntie and uncle, and pausing it, turning the TV off, going to my auntie and uncle's, and whilst there, obviously cracking nuts to get back and finish this game off, which I did, and the sensation of completing this game was absolutely fantastic. Loved Rogue Trooper. Next, we've got a game that I remember playing religiously, and it's a football game, and it's Street Gang Football. It took me quite a while to find this one on eBay, but I remember absolutely loving playing this. It's basically you're a gang, and guess what? You play football in the street. Blimmin' great pitch, right up this road, quite large goals, sort of a top-down, pseudo top-down view, because the players are obviously facing up at you as well. Huge pitch, and I remember playing for hours and hours this game. Just absolutely loved it. The graphics actually hold up okay, considering obviously it's a Spectrum game. I booted it up earlier and had a little play with the old joystick, and brought back a lot of good memories. Very good game. Next we've got, now don't judge me on this one, Sooty and Sweep. Oh, Sooty and Sweep. Basically, you explore Matthew's house, and I think you're collecting bones, I remember, for Sweep, Naughty Sweep. And you obviously play as Sooty, jumping around, collecting these things, and you've got your magic wand that you're firing at spiders and things like that. But I remember really enjoying it. You go from the lounge to the pantry, upstairs to the bedrooms and things, collecting these things. And I remember the graphics looked quite good, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've just got great memories of this game. What makes me laugh, though, it says here, as seen on TV, including the original theme music. Now, I booted this up a little while ago, and man, the theme music is absolutely obnoxious on the Spectrum, bless it. But no, it's about the memories, isn't it? And I absolutely have tons of memories for that game. Really enjoyed that one. Now this next game I've got here, I didn't know it came out on the Spectrum. I played it on the BBC Acorn back at primary school. But I watched a video by Mike, Without Further Ado Retro, and he picked it up on the Spectrum. I think he got the disc version, if memory is correct. I can't remember. And I messaged him and I said, I didn't know this come out on the Spectrum. Do you know if it come out on tape? Because obviously I've got my 128K plus 2, and obviously I don't have the disc drive for it, so I needed the tape version. He said he didn't know, and literally I set up a little watch on eBay, and within probably, it was bizarre, probably about a week, it came up, and this guy's selling loads of Spectrum games. When you've got the drop down menu and you select which game you want and you click it. It was in there, and it's Granny's Garden. Oh man, this really takes me back, and it doesn't come with the instructions. I think it came with some instructions in there, but I booted it up earlier and it works, so I'm probably going to check this out again later. This is a 48k game. It says here, look, made in Barnstable, Devon, my neck of the woods. Yeah, educational media. Now, I don't remember too much about this game, but I remember a witch in it. And I think it's like a educational adventure game, isn't it? But yeah, I'm going to have to boot that up again. I was so pleased to see that. The memories flooding back for that one were outstanding. Outstanding. Now this next game I'd completely forgotten about. I was watching a post by Dave Lawnboys Post 1975, and it was one of the Spectrum games that he was playing. I think he was doing a comparison between the Spectrum and the C64, and it was one of those things where I completely forgot this game existed, and I saw it and I was like, oh my god, I remember that, and I absolutely loved it. And that game is Trantor, the Last Stormtrooper. I remember the graphics being excellent in this. You had a blooming great sprite, but very tough game. I always remember running left to right, and you got to dodge the up and down flames coming out. You know, you scorch the enemies, the baddies, going left to right with your flamethrower, and you pick up burgers for health. I remember that. But that game, yeah, I used to love playing that one. Put a lot of time into it, but didn't get far at all. Next, this is a bit of a guilty pleasure, I guess. I mean, it's a bit of a Boulder Dash clone, and it was a game called Rockfall, and this is the same cassette that I played it on. It was one of the Crash free full game giveaways. April 1990, this one. Master Blaster, great game. But Rockfall, basically, yeah, very, very ugly game, but I pumped so many hours into this. I just found it so addictive. I think I got quite far, but again, it's probably one of those games that has unlimited levels, or 100 levels or something like that. I never got that far. Remember that so well, synonymous for me for the ZX Spectrum. And last but by no means least is a game, the last game I picked up actually. I remember playing football down near my local school, went to get some slush puppies to go home, and on the way back we noticed that in the school, in one of the fields, there was like a tabletop sale. So looked in my pocket, had a couple of quid left over, thought we'd have a little look around, and I picked Myth up for 20p, and I absolutely loved it. This tiny little character, loved the fantasy setting, running left and right, shooting, jumping. I remember orbs that you had to collect, and baddies at the end of each level, skeletons that you would shoot, and I'm going to have to boot this one up again. And a dragon, yeah, I've just seen this dragon on the back, I remember that. But I love the setting of this game, and it's, comes complete with a nice big fat manual. Oh, great. Just great holding these things, isn't it? And that's it, really. Like I said, I've got plenty of other games by the ZX Spectrum, and what I might do in the future is actually just have a little concentrated look on the collection that I've got, and maybe go through them and share some stories or bits and bobs about them, and just go through the collection for you. Now, the Spectrum computer I have now to play these games is the Grey 128K plus 2. And I've got a lovely RGB cable for it, SCART cable, that goes into my plasma, and it looks absolutely razor sharp. Obviously it doesn't improve the graphics, but it makes everything pin sharp, and it looks great. It looks absolutely great. So if you haven't got an RGB SCART cable for your ZX Spectrum, I thoroughly recommend it. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching, and maybe I'll see you again.